All right, welcome in everybody to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting one, I think, today. A really fascinating group we're going to be diving into.
Yeah, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, today it's the Hearts of Oak.
The Hearts of Oak. Love that name.
Yeah, and they were this volunteer militia group back in Colonial New York. And what's cool is we've got this historical overview of them. And we're going to try to answer some questions about them, like, well, who were these guys? What made them tick? What they do in those really early days of the revolution, kind of the lead up to it. And then a pretty surprising modern connection, actually. You're going to like that one, I think.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. We're talking about New York City, right?
Yeah.
Around 1775.
Yeah.
So right on the edge of huge change.
Yeah, absolutely. Tensions are rising, things are bubbling up. And right in the thick of it, you've got this group, the Hearts of Oak, forming.
And just the name itself, right? I mean, where does that even come from? Like,
Right.
you don't often see groups picking a name like that, out of thin air. It's got to be a story there.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's not like, some local hero or a super obvious patriotic, phrase or anything. They really went kind of a different route here with their name, huh?
For sure.
So the Hearts of Oak, get this, they actually based their name on the Corsican Republic.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, this republic was led by Pasquale Paoli, and it had been crushed, basically, it was just 6 years before this, so 1769, right? And it kind of makes you wonder, like, why would this event, this Corsican Republic, why would it strike such a chord over here in the British colonies?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't exactly, front page news for every colonist.
Right, right.
But the thing is, the Corsican struggle for independence, even though it ultimately failed, it really resonated with people in Britain and in its colonies.
Mm.
So, for this new militia group in New York to deliberately pick that name,
Yeah.
that says something, right? It speaks to the intellectual climate of the time,
Mm.
that these guys, the founders, they were drawn to Republican ideals.
Mm.
And it wasn't just about local stuff, right?
Mhm.
They were looking at broader movements. They were inspired by these international struggles for freedom and self-determination.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Like they were plugged into these global currents of thought.
So it's more than just, oh, we want to be free from the British, right? It's
Yeah.
like we see this pattern and we want to be a part of it.
Exactly. It's bigger than just their own backyard.
Yeah, yeah. So who were these guys then? Who were these Hearts of Oak? What kind of people were drawn to these ideals, these Republican ideals?
Well, here's the interesting part. They were mostly students.
Really?
Yeah.
Students, okay.
Yeah. And not just any students. These were students from King's College,
King's College, huh?
which later became Columbia University.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's pretty significant.
Yeah, that's a pretty prestigious place, I guess you could say.
It is. And it's striking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That this revolutionary spirit was it was brewing on a college campus.
Yeah.
It makes you think about what those students brought to the table. Their unique perspectives, their motivations, their idealism.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess just the fact that it was a college campus, I mean, there's a lot of ideas floating around there, right? People are thinking and talking and debating all the time.
Absolutely. It was a hub of intellectual ferment. And, we know some of the names involved.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Pretty big names, actually.
Like who?
Well, there was Nicholas Fish, Robert Troup, and, of course, Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
The one and only.
Wow. Okay. That's a pretty big name, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And to imagine these future leaders, right?
Yeah.
Still students at this point, actively forming a militia, and preparing for potential conflict.
Yeah.
It says a lot about the intensity of the times.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does. It paints a picture, doesn't it, of just how much was at stake and how seriously they were taking it.
For sure.
Yeah. And it wasn't just all talk either. It wasn't just them sitting around, in classrooms debating these ideas. They actually they got out there and did stuff.
Oh, yeah, they did. And this is where it gets really interesting. They drilled, they trained, they practiced their formations, and get this, they did it in the graveyard.
In the graveyard.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Back up. In a graveyard.
In a graveyard.
Okay.
The graveyard of St. Paul's Chapel, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so like among the tombstones and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Among the tombstones before their classes, no less.
So they'd be like in their robes or whatever and then go practice with their muskets.
Yeah. You can almost picture it, right?
I mean, it's kind of a I don't know, a morbid setting, to be training for war.
It's a powerful image, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks to their commitment and, their dedication extended to how they presented themselves, too.
Okay. How do you mean?
Well, they had their own uniforms,
Oh, okay.
distinctive uniforms that they designed themselves.
Really? Okay, so what did they look like?
Okay. Imagine this. Short, green jackets, tight fitting, and a round leather hat with a cockade.
A cockade, okay.
Yeah. That decorative knot they wear on hats. And their cockade had a phrase on it.
A phrase, okay.
Yeah. It said liberty or death.
Oh, wow, okay. So they're not exactly being subtle here.
Nope. Not
Weird.
subtle at all. It's a bold statement, right? It shows where they stood.
Yeah, yeah. Bold statement for sure.
And they had these red tin hearts on their jackets, too.
Hearts on their jackets.
Yeah. And these weren't just for decoration. They actually had a motto inscribed on them.
Okay. A motto. What was the motto?
It said, God and our right.
God and our right. Huh.
Interesting. Right. Because that was actually adapted from the French royal motto, Dieu est mon droit.
Oh, really? Okay.
But they changed it. See, the original means God and my right.
Okay, so they pluralized it, huh?
Exactly.
Our right. Okay.
Yeah. By making it our right, they were emphasizing a collective right.
Yeah.
A shared right to liberty, to self-governance. It was a deliberate move away from that old idea of, rights being granted solely by a king. They were claiming their own rights as a people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of cool how they did it too,
Yeah.
It's not like they just, came up with a totally new motto. They took the existing one and they tweaked it, right?
They subverted it.
Yeah, exactly. Subverted it to fit their new vision.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've got these guys, they look sharp, they're training hard in a graveyard no less, and they've got this strong sense of purpose and identity, right?
Yeah. They're the real deal. But, at this point, they're still a volunteer militia. It's all about preparation. And then August 1775 rolls around and things change.
Okay.
Things get real.
August 1775, okay.
This is when they go beyond drills and symbolism, right?
Okay.
They take action.
Okay.
And it's a pretty daring move.
Okay, what do?
They participate in a raid.
A raid.
On what? On the battery. They're trying to seize cannons.
Cannons, okay.
Yeah. And it's not easy. They're under fire the whole time from the British warship, HMS Asia.
Wow. Okay, under fire. So this is combat now. This is not just training anymore.
This is the real deal. It's a turning point for the Hearts of Oak. It's this act of defiance, this act of courage under fire that really transforms them.
Okay, so they're not just a bunch of students with muskets anymore, right? They got cannons now.
Exactly. They become an artillery unit. And that changes everything.
Yeah, because artillery, I mean, that's a whole different level of firepower, right?
It is. It's a game changer. And it really puts them on the map in terms of their contribution to the revolutionary cause.
Yeah. And speaking of game changers and key figures in the revolution, this is where Alexander Hamilton really steps into the picture. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. By 1776, the need for a strong, organized military force was becoming really clear.
Yeah.
The revolution was in full swing. And the New York Provincial Congress, they recognized Hamilton's talents. They saw his potential.
Yeah.
And they also saw the potential of the Hearts of Oak.
Yeah. They had that core group of trained men, right?
Exactly. So they commissioned Hamilton as a captain.
Okay.
And they give him a very specific task, raise the New York Provincial Company of Artillery.
The New York Provincial Company of Artillery, huh? What were they supposed to do?
They were tasked with defending Manhattan Island.
Defending Manhattan.
Yeah.
Wow.
A pretty big responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, that's
It was. And here's the key connection,
Yep.
right? The Hearts of Oak, they form the core of this new artillery company.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's like it all comes full circle, huh? You've got this group of students. They're inspired by this European republic. They train hard. They take action. They get some cannons. And then, bam, they become this vital part of the Continental Army in New York.
Exactly. And it just shows how these local initiatives, driven by passion and commitment, can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And contribute to something much bigger. And get this.
What?
This artillery company, born out of the Hearts of Oak, it evolved, it changed over time, and guess what it became?
What?
It became the U.S. Army's 5th Field Artillery Regiment.
Wow.
That's right.
So it still exists today.
It does. A
Wow.
direct line from those students drilling in that graveyard to a still active regiment in the U.S. Army today. That's pretty amazing.
It's pretty, yeah, it's amazing. It's humbling, I guess,
It is.
to think about just how much they accomplished. It's funny because they were inspired by a republic, the Corsican Republic that didn't even succeed,
Yeah.
but they took that inspiration and they ran with it.
It sure did.
And they helped create something that's still going strong today, but the story doesn't end there, does it?
Nope, not at all. We've got to talk about that modern connection.
Yeah. The modern connection.
Yep.
The soccer fans.
That's right.
Okay.
So in 2015, a supporters group for New York City FC.
New York City FC. That's a Major League Soccer team, right?
Exactly. They decided to call themselves the Hearts of Oak.
Really? Wow. Okay. I mean, that's not something you hear every day. An 18th century militia group inspiring a 21st century soccer fan club. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, it was a tribute to Alexander Hamilton, mainly, and his role in defending New York City during the Revolution. They saw this connection, this parallel between those original Hearts of Oak who fought for the city, in its early days, and their own role as passionate supporters of New York City, today.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, they could have chosen any name, right? But they chose to go back to this historical group.
They did.
Mhm.
And it shows how history can be it can be reinterpreted, it can be reimagined. These old stories, they can find new meaning in different contexts.
Yeah. And I guess it says something about the power of these stories,
For sure.
Like they can transcend time, you
Yeah.
know. They can still resonate with people centuries later. So let's take a step back here and try to sum up what we've learned about the Hearts of Oak, huh? So they were this volunteer militia formed in New York around 1775. They were really inspired by the ideals of the Corsican Republic, and they were made up mostly of students from King's College, including, guys like Alexander Hamilton, Nicholas Fish, and Robert Troup, who all went on to do, some pretty big things.
Big names.
Yeah. They had these cool, unique uniforms, and they trained really hard, even in a graveyard.
Can't forget the graveyard.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And then they really stepped up during that raid on the battery. They seized those cannons and they became an artillery unit. And then they went on to form the core of Hamilton's artillery company, which eventually became part of the U.S. Army, and it still exists today. And to top it all off, their name lives on in this soccer fan club in New York City. I mean, that's quite a legacy, huh?
It really is. It's a testament to their commitment, their vision,
Yeah.
and the impact that even a small group of people can have.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. So this deep dive into the Hearts of Oak, I think it raises some interesting questions,
Like what?
Well, like how many other groups are out there, groups that we might think of as small or localized, but that actually had a much bigger impact than we might realize. Groups that, were fueled by ideas and a sense of purpose, and that, made a real difference in the world.
Yeah. I mean, the Hearts of Oak, they're a reminder that history is full of surprises.
Yeah, for sure. And that sometimes, the most unexpected connections, the most unlikely echoes can be found in the most unexpected places.
That's the beauty of history, isn't it? It's full of these unexpected twists and turns. It even makes you wonder what other hidden connections are out there just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, it really does. Well, I think we've done a good job of unearthing the story of the Hearts of Oak today.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's a story that deserves to be told, and I think it's one that has a lot to teach us about the power of ideas, the importance of commitment, and the surprising ways in which the past can still shape the present.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And to all of you listening out there, until next time, keep on diving.
Happy diving, everyone.